I'm just putting the final touches on my beautiful table because company is coming to dinner. I have a fantastic menu lined up for you today, so let's go to the kitchen and prepare it now.
Jazzy, you're gonna be healthy with the Jazzy Vegetarian. Jazzy, so snazzy. We're gonna cook something healthy and light. Jazzy, so snazzy.
So join me in the kitchen right now.
We're gonna cook something healthy and light. That's right.
Today I'm preparing one of my favorite specialty menus, perfect to serve when company is coming for dinner. We'll begin with my fabulous fancy stuffed peppers, a vegan version of my mother's classic recipe. Then we'll move on to delicious Velvety Carrot Soup, which tastes rich and creamy without the use of any dairy products. Sweet and savory kale is next up, and to finish the meal with a flourish, my spectacular chocolate ganache pudding. Here's an eco-chic meal that you'll be confident to serve at any dinner party or festive family meal. So let's prepare it now. Right now, I'm so excited to make my fancy stuffed peppers. Now, I came up with this recipe one day when I had some quinoa that had already been cooked, and I also happened to have some beautiful peppers. The star of this recipe is quinoa. What is that, you might ask? First of all, people get confused about quinoa. It's spelled Quinoa, and it's pronounced Keen. So this is what quinoa looks like before it's prepared, and it tastes almost like a brown rice. But quinoa is actually not a grain. It's actually a seed, but it's prepared, eaten, and tastes like a grain, so we treat it as such. Now, when you prepare your quinoa, make sure to get a fine meshed sieve like this. Measure your quinoa into it, and then run it underwater thoroughly over and over again, because quinoa, being that it's a seed, has a little coating on it that's kind of bitter. So you want to make sure to get that off before you prepare your quinoa. Let me set this aside. So what you're going to do is take 1 cup of dry quinoa, 2 cups of veggie broth, and boil it on the stove just like you would brown rice, but you're only going to have to cook it for 15 to 20 minutes, and it comes out tasting delicious. Now, the other star of this dish is black beans. And of course, the superstar of the meal is our peppers. I've got 4 peppers that I'm going to use, and it's going to serve 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little pepper hat, and that's what makes it so festive. So what you do is you just slice off a little hat off the top of the pepper, and then let me get my discard bowl. And I just use a little spoon for this, and you just scrape out the seeds out of the top of your little pepper sombrero, so to speak, till it's all clean like that. And then you take the center of the pepper, just grab it with your hand, and the whole thing pulls out. See how clean that is? Then you take out any little extra seeds that are inside there. And that's how you're going to start with your fabulous stuffed peppers. So I'm going to put that along with the other 3 that I've prepared over here. And we're going to prepare our stuffing. So first, of course, my quinoa is going to go into a mixing bowl. And then we've got 2 cloves of chopped garlic. And then we have about 6 ounces of baby bella mushrooms, which I have just chopped very small. Just toss them all right in there. I've got 1 medium onion, also sliced small. Just stick it all in there. That's what's so easy. No sautéing. And then I've got 1 can of organic black beans, which I've drained thoroughly and then rinsed. Here are a couple of my kickers on this one. A 1/4 cup of wheat germ. Wheat germ adds nutrition, and it also helps to hold the whole stuffing together. So just toss that right in there. And then we want to flavor it a little bit. After all, I have some organic dried basil. I've used a teaspoon in this dish. Toss that right in. I'm going to start by adding about a half a cup of marinara sauce. And we're going to continue to add it till it seems like it's wet but not soupy. You see, it's just a tiny bit dry. So I'm going to add about another half cup of the marinara. Once it starts looking like it's holding together, that is perfect. Look how beautiful that is already. Wish you could smell the smells I am smelling. So let me set this aside for a moment and bring my casserole over. So we're going to start by putting just about half cup of this marinara in the bottom of the casserole and add about a tablespoon of olive oil so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the casserole. That's all there is to it. Set that aside. I'm going to start with my first pepper. Bring this here, and then you can kind of just put it right in there and scoop it in. It's kind of messy, so roll your sleeves up, which you see I have done, and you're going to just pack that stuffing in there, and that's what will keep it compact and keep it together. I'm not going to put the little pepper hat back on yet. Then Mr. Pepper 2. If you have any of this stuffing left over, you can put it in a little separate casserole and bake it, and then you can have it for lunch tomorrow or a side dish for dinner tomorrow, and it works out just perfectly. Now, you know what I did last year? I served this dinner for Valentine's Day. I had a big dinner party, and I did it all with red peppers. It was so fabulous and festive and very romantic looking. Here right now, here's a red pepper like this. And I had the red peppers, and I served the Velvety Carrot Soup that we're making today, and I had my chocolate pudding, just the supper I'm making, but with all red peppers. Great to make for Valentine's Day. And I've also served this at holiday parties. You can use all different colors. You can use green peppers as well. The purple peppers are fabulous. Look how gorgeous that is looking already. And let me wash off my hands. Here's what we do. We take about 1 tablespoon of this vegan marinara and put it over top of each of the peppers. It smells so good too. Oh my gosh. I love this. Tiny bit of salt over the top. But just adds a little pizzazz, a little bit of fresh ground pepper right on the tops of these. Go. Now here's the fun part. I don't know why I get such a kick out of it, but I do. Here's a little pepper sombreros. And then this goes here. And the red one goes with the red one. And you're going to put the pepper hat on our last pepper here. Put your top on. And we're going to put this in the oven for about 50 minutes to an hour. A 400-degree oven. They're going to be perfect to serve for your company. So let's get on to my delicious, creamy-tasting, velvety carrot soup, which we're going to serve as our first course. Let's stick this in the oven now. Well, while we have our dinner cooking, I just want to share a green entertaining tip with you today. There's no need to buy flowers when you're entertaining. I like to use either a big bowl of fresh fruit, or sometimes I just use a pretty basket in the center of the table with my bread, anything that's decorative. But today I had this beautiful African violet growing in my house, and it happens to be blooming this time of year. So I'm going to use it in the center of my table. And that's green entertaining. Reuse, repurpose, recycle. It's a good thing. Now for my Velvety Carrot Soup. It's one of the first vegetarian recipes I made up. It came upon me one day because I thought to myself, when you make mashed potatoes, they taste kind of creamy. Maybe I could make a creamy tasting soup without using any cream, without using any dairy products, and use the potatoes to kind of make it creamy. So fabulous. So what I have here is I have my steamer with water in it, and it's on medium heat. I'm going to put the potatoes in first, and then I'm going to layer my carrots. I've got 3 medium potatoes and 5 or 6 large carrots. That's the whole thing. We're going to leave this to steam for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to prepare the fabulous soup. Let's let it steam. Okay, here we are. And, whoo, is that steamy. You see there? They're just breaking apart. And that's what you want for this soup. You want them to be cooked through, but not mushy, because we're going to puree this soup. So we're going to turn off the heat, and then just take it out, dump it in a bowl, and let me move that steamer aside because I don't need a facial right now, although it looks like I could get one, doesn't it? All right, it's cooled down slightly. So to this, I'm going to start by adding 1 cup of unsweetened soy milk. Now with this recipe, you can also use cashew milk, almond milk, any kind of vegan milk that you like. To that, my little secret is we are actually going to add 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. That gives it kind of a sweet taste reminiscent of sweet cream. And then we're going to also start by adding 1 cup of chilled veggie broth. Put this aside. Then what I love to add to this is 1 teaspoon of Italian herbs. That infuses a beautiful taste. A little bit of fresh ground pepper. For a very delicate taste, just 1/2 teaspoon of tamari. I'm going to incorporate that all together. Let me just set it aside because I'm going to get my blender. And the whole idea is to get it into the blender without spilling all over your shirt. We're going to do this in 2 batches because the veggies are still kind of warm. You're going to blend it until it gets just the amount of creaminess that you enjoy. So I put my top on. I recommend, because you have warm liquid in here, to make sure that there's airspace at the top. There. That is perfect for our first batch. Pour it into there. Oh, wow. Look at that. What a beautiful color. And here's our second batch. Nice and creamy looking. Look how beautiful this is. That's why it makes such an impressive soup. Pouring that in. Gorgeous. Look how beautiful that is. And I'm going to put it in the fridge now to chill. And before I serve it tonight, I'm going to take it back out, put it in a saucepan, and heat it up. I'll add a little more veggie broth or soy milk to make it so it's a little bit thinner before I serve it. And I'm ready to get on to my sweet and savory kale. Good. Now what I've done for this dish today is I've taken 1 large bunch of kale, and as you see, I've got it steaming on the stove. It's going to steam 15 minutes. You want to make sure it's still bright green, so just keep an eye on it. But what I'd like to do for you right now is show you what kale is. This is what kale looks like. Now what people say to me is, that looks weird. What do I do with it? I'm going to show you right now. So there are 2 ways you can prep this. You can just take off the leafy part from the rigid stem, and that we're going to discard. The other way that I do this is take your kale, of course, once again, and see how you've got that ridge right here of the rigid stem. Just take your knife in there and cut all the way around it. And that just very neatly cuts out that rigid stem. Look how clean that is. Then what I do is I'm going to chiffonade the kale. I roll it up, and then you're going to cut it into chiffonade style strips. That makes it so it cooks very evenly, and so it becomes very tender. And that's all there is to it. And we are going to put together our sauce right now to put on our kale. What I'm using is 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. And then we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And then 2 teaspoons of tamari. And look how that whips together to a really glistening sauce. And I think it's about ready to plate up now. Okay, now let's take a look at this. Ah, that's absolutely perfect. You see how it's still got a nice bright green color to it, but it's cooked. Now, most people will not eat kale just like this. That's why we're dressing it up with this fancy sauce. And we're just going to pour it all over the top of that kale. That's good. Now, to top it all off, I've got 4 teaspoons of sunflower seeds. And that's the one big bunch of kale. This is all there is to it. But the great thing about this is this, at this point, can actually sit for about 10 minutes or so and be kind of room temperature. Why? Because this delicious sauce is going to kind of caramelize over the hot kale and infuse into this dish. Look how beautiful that is. So glistening, my sweet and savory kale. Oh my goodness, these beautiful fancy stuffed peppers. They're stuffed with quinoa and black beans and all so nutritious things. And they're wearing their little caps oh so beautifully. And look at this. At the bottom, we have a beautiful gravy that we're going to serve along with it. Nothing to do except pour it in our gravy bowl. What could be easier? I like to serve it in a nice bowl like that and serve it along with the peppers, passing it around the table as we go. And now it's time to make my spectacular chocolate ganache pudding. And we're going to start off with 5 ounces, which is usually about 1.5 bars of a really good vegan dark chocolate. And as you can see, I've chopped it just very small. So just pour this into a large mixing bowl. A bowl with a little beaker on it is great. You'll see why. And then to that, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of organic brown sugar. Now what I've got on the stove is 1 cup of simmering soy milk. And I do like to use the sweetened vanilla soy milk for this. And now we're going to start our ganache. We're going to add in about 1/4 cup of this simmering soy milk and whisk it all in. You see how it's immediately melting the chocolate? We add a little bit more soy milk, about another 1/3 cup, and it's going to melt the chocolate. And we're going to whisk it until it's nice and glistening, keeping your milk simmering all along because, once again, your vegan milk is what's melting the chocolate as we go and making my version of a vegan chocolate ganache pudding. See how there's kind of just little peaks happening in here. Oh, the chocolate smell. It's so delicious. And now that is perfect to pour. I've got these beautiful little bowls that my friend Sarah bought me from Italy, and it's the perfect showcase for this chocolate ganache pudding. This is where your beaker comes in handy. Just pour a little bit in. Now you want to do this immediately because it does start to set up very, very quickly. Look how pretty that is. We're going to do them all. Tasty, tasty. Let's get every last bit of this luscious, luscious goodness in here. Great to make with kids, too. Isn't that gorgeous? Now look how pretty that looks. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for about an hour. Look how quick and easy that was, and I guarantee you, so delicious. We're going to plate up our beautiful pudding. Now, it's been in the refrigerator for about an hour now, and I'm being truthful, I can't wait to taste this. But there's one little final touch I have for this. I have a fine meshed sieve. I put a little organic cocoa powder in here, and you're just going to tap it oh so lightly around the edge of the plate and then a little bit over the top. Spectacular chocolate ganache pudding. Now for our first course, we've got this fabulous velvety carrot soup. I've got to taste this right now. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how many times I've served this and people say, Laura, I didn't know you used cream. This really tastes so creamy. Oh, that's so wonderful. Now we've got our main course, and before you serve it, I like to just take a little bit of dried or fresh basil or any kind of herb that you like, and just as a last finishing touch, just sprinkle it over the top of the plate and over the top of the pepper, and it makes it look like a dish in a restaurant. Look how beautiful that is. Now I'm going to take a nice little taste, first of my kale. So tender, and the sunflower seeds are kind of crunchy, and then you've got that sweet sauce on it. Now the real star of the show, my beautiful pepper. I'm going to cut it for you now. You're going to see the gorgeous inside of this pepper. This is so exciting when we get to this part. I don't know what to say. I've made this so many times. If you like, you can put a little bit of this gravy over there. Let me take a delicious bite. It's outrageous. The pepper is just sweet, and the quinoa and the black beans together really almost give it kind of a meaty quality. And I'm just going to sit here and eat the whole thing. That will be done with the show. That is so good. You must try it. Now, I can't wait. Look at this gorgeous chocolate ganache pudding. Look at that. Creamy as can be. My friend Maria, the first time she had this, she said, it tastes like you're eating a chocolate bar in a bowl. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I hope these recipes inspire you to try my gourmet-style menu the next time company is coming to dinner at your house. I've had such a wonderful time sharing this special menu, so until next time, be well from the Jazzy Vegetarian.
Visit our website at jazzyvegetarian.com to connect with Laura, see videos, find your favorite recipes, and more. Follow Laura on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Jazzy Vegetarian, lively vegan cuisine that's easy and delicious, includes all the recipes from this season and is available for $26.95. This 10th anniversary edition companion cookbook features full-color photos, menu plans, and over 120 recipes. For information or to order, visit jazzyvegetarian.com.
Next time on Jazzy Vegetarian.
When a quick, healthy meal is on your mind, but you're rushed for time,
Minute menu is for you. Featuring quick pasta with broccoli and sun-dried tomatoes. Can you believe it? Already in under 30 minutes. Join me.